I don't know anything about balls. It's unfortunate because it's Pride Month. I should probably know more about balls. Go ahead.
Do you not even know shit about your own balls, man? Like you got a Newton's cradle, man. You don't ever.
I've never seen them.
A Newton's cradle?
Yeah.
Ew.
Well, you've never heard of that phrase?
No,
I don't even know what that means.
That's terrible. It's the things where there's like dangly metal balls and it goes like.
My balls do not do that. At least last time I checked. Even though nobody asked, we delivered. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. My name is Nestani.
I am Jaxler.
I'm DECosmic.
And I'm Coley.
And today...
What?
Nothing. I was just impressed that Cosmic snapped. That's all.
Oh, he snapped.
Yeah, it came
Like
And today,
he's
on the podcast,
I just thought that was
Happy Pride Month. And Jaxler's going to talk about how much he fucking hates Mina the Hollower, the Dark Souls.
No. Well, it's complicated. So, another game has overtaken the fucking indie game space. It's Mina the Hollower. If you have heard of Shovel Knight,
Not to be confused
it
with
is
Shovel
made by-
Claws.
no one. We literally ran this bit before we even pressed fucking record. By the
man, come on. Like,
I don't give a fuck.
yeah. So this game is a lot like Tales of Despero. So I've heard.
That's
There's
not
like
even
a mouse.
There's a mouse. That's about the closest resemblance.
great pull.
It's actually.
What do you? Or
Like
actually,
the
it's more
mo-
like Stuart Little. I think.
Stuart
That
Little
would
2
probably be a better
specifically for the
comparison.
PS1.
Yeah.
Which one would you say is more racist, Mina the Hollower or Stuart Little 3?
I think you got to give it to Stuart 3. I mean, Stuart 3 was like the progenitor. It's like, it's like, yeah, Victor Wembanyama right now, he's really good, but you gotta give it up to Tim Duncan. He's like, when you're talking about Spurs legends, it's like it could get there. But the legend is a legend for
Stephen A. Smith talking about what the most racist mouse game. He's like, you gotta give it to Stuart Little 3.
you have to give Stuart 3 its flowers. But for those who live on a rock or don't know ball,
I don't know balls.
Very...
anything about balls. It's unfortunate because it's Pride Month. I should probably know more about balls. Go ahead.
Do you not even know shit about your own balls, man? Like you got a Newton's cradle, man. You don't ever.
I've never seen them.
A Newton's cradle?
Yeah.
Ew.
Well, you've never heard of that phrase?
No,
I don't even know what that means.
That's terrible. It's the things where there's like dangly metal balls and it goes like.
My balls do not do that. At least last time I checked.
It's called a visual metaphor, Nestani. Anyway, so
I'm a
Mina the
visual
Hollower.
learner. Jaxler, go ahead, show your balls.
Jarvis, show me a picture of this guy's balls. Anyway, so Mina the Hollower,
I can't wait
It's
until
very-
AI allows me to do that. That's gonna be great. Go ahead.
dude. I can't wait until Nestani allows me to start the podcast.
It allows me to talk.
Anywho, while he's sipping water, Mina the Hollower.
Not if
If
you
you've
Hollow Knight.
heard this, yes, again another bit we ran before the fucking podcast started.
Damn.
Topical, too, for what we're about to discuss.
Exactly. Yeah, actually,
that's
low key, kind of topical. So this Mina the Hollower game, right? It is a love letter to like the Game Boy like 2D Zelda games, like Link's Awakening and the Oracle games. So it's this like 2D top-down like adventure like Zelda-y type experience, right? And it's made by the Shovel Knight devs. So the pixel art is fucking gorgeous, the music is fucking fantastic, and it's really, really fun, right? And I've been playing through it because Link's Awakening is one of my favorite fucking games. I don't think I've ever really brought that up, but like Link's Awakening on the game, specifically the LADX, the Game Boy Color version.
I thought you were going to say LAPD.
Fucking love that
I'll
game.
be honest.
No, why would I bring up the cops during Pride Month, man? Think of the optics, like Jesus Christ.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like you would bring them up during Black History Month. So
Other than to say fuck the police, like what do you want from me, man? Like what? What are you trying to? You're trying to like spin a web here for me to fly into,
I'm just on the saying things,
Wait,
Bro-
so if I could get us slightly back on topic,
Yeah, that'd be great.
Do you not
like the
like
cops?
no? Do you not like? Do you not like the new Link Awakening that's like remade or whatever?
Oh, I love that remake as well.
Oh, okay.
I just have a lot more personal attachment to that.
To the DX, yeah.
Original, right?
Sure.
And so I've been playing through it, right? I'm a good chunk of the way through. It's a pretty long and dense game. There's like a lot of stuff to go find, a lot of secret area, all that type of jazz, right? But I keep like, especially when I'm like reflecting on the start of the game experience versus kind of where I'm at with the game now and the amount of fun I'm having now that I'm like at this portion of gameplay, it is kind of pissing me off because it feels like this game has fallen into the trap that I feel like a ton of fucking games. We talked about Hollow Knight, where it's just like everything is trying to become fucking Dark Souls, and it really fucking pisses me off. So this game has the system where it's like, you kill enemies, you find loot and stuff, and you get this currency. It's called bones. Like literally, you just pick up bones, and they're used for your upgrades. They're used as your currency to buy things. And of course, when you die, you drop all the bones that you're holding, and then you have to go kill whatever. Basically, it creates this like blue orb. No, it's worse. So instead of going to your like blood stain, it's like this blue orb
pile?
thing that No, it's. I wish that would be funny.
That would be better.
But it basically marks the enemy that killed you, and you have to kill the enemy to get your stuff back. And then on the next death, you lose it all.
That's kind of fire.
It is kind of fire. And it's like, it's built into the game well, but it's just like, why does everything have to be fucking Dark Souls? You know what I mean?
Wasn't that kind of like Shovel Knight? Sort of. Because isn't in Shovel Knight you die, your gems fly around? I guess they're not tied to an enemy, but...
Right. But for that game, I can justify that a little bit, because that's more, I would say, in the realm of precision platformer oriented, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But part of...
Yeah.
It's a bit...
It's sort of like a Sonic having all the rings shoot out of him, right?
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And there's upgrades that, like, mitigate some of that frustration. But the whole thing got me thinking about the fact is that these kind of systems front load a lot of the challenge, if that makes sense. Because you start the game and you don't really have a lot of resources other than, like, your starting weapon or, like, your low gear, low stats, low movement or ability options, right? And so it creates a lot of these like areas of frustration and like kind of friction at the start. And then you start to get these upgrades that are like, oh, well now it like, now it takes 2, 3, or 4 deaths before I lose all this stuff. Or I've bought a bunch of stuff, so I don't really care that much about dying anymore anyway. Or I have more defenses, more attack power, right? And it's one of those things where it feels like things that are like quality of life or things that are meant to make the game easier are just kind of like put behind blockades for no fucking reason. Like there's a lot of like equipables that are just like, oh, this should just be a fucking quality of life feature, but because it has to be a fucking Dark Souls game, we're gonna make you find it in a fucking box in a fucking random ass fucking hidden screen somewhere. And it's just like, it's those little things that frustrate me, right? Like, go ahead.
So what you would like from the game is for the friction to be more even out, where it's like there's still friction at the end of the game rather than it being the most difficult at the beginning kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Because it like once you start like kind of moving and like getting those upgrades, like it like the curve is still there, and that's one of the things I will give this game a lot of credit for is if you're gonna do this kind of Dark Souls bullshit, this game does it extremely well. I'm just kind of like comparing to like a more broad frustration with like the games that are coming out nowadays, and I've talked about this before with Second Submission, where it's just like people see what's successful and are just going to keep making it, and it keeps popping up, where it's just like these Dark Souls systems that sometimes just get stapled onto a pre-existing system already. And again, it's like I feel conflicted about it because the game is really fucking good, and it's, as far as the design goes, it's pretty well built around those kinds of things, but I'm just like, dude, just like I think I should also probably, if I can real quick, like like another thing is just like the amount of mobility options. The kind of like big like thing that sets it apart from other similar games is that like you can burrow into the ground for a bit where you're invincible to a lot of stuff and then you pop back up. So it's like a Dark Souls game where you don't have like a dodge roll or like iframes. So every time you want to like be invincible or get away, you have to jump, wait for the whole jump animation to play, and then you go in underground. And then you can try to get away, right? And there's maybe some attacks you can like jump over, right? But you don't have like a dodge roll, right? And there's only like one weapon that has like a shield component in to where you can like block and parry attacks and stuff, right? That's like a whole like subsection that you like choose to like, you know, like build your playstyle around, right? So it, especially in the early game, because you don't have like the same level, like you don't have like the you know, the classic Dark Souls roll where if you time it right you have the iframes, where it's like you have to like predict the future or dodge in advance or have really good spacing, and sometimes that's really hard with the way some of the maps are built or what weapon you pick at the start. You get a choice of 3 weapons at the start, and if you kind of pick, you know, the wrong one, or you don't quite understand what kind of game you're getting into right away, and you pick that fucking hammer that like takes like 5 years to swing, you're not gonna have a great time, right? I think I'm kind of rambling and ranting at this point, mostly just because I want people to, I think it stems a little bit from, I want people to try new things instead of just rehashing the same kind of ideas or mechanics over and over again. And not to say that like, you know, I think some people would argue it's like, oh, well, we haven't seen it applied to this kind of game or context yet. And I think that's fair to an extent. I'm just tired of it. I'm going to be so real. I'm going to be so real, man.
So
I'm just like...
I've never played Link's Awakening, but I would hazard a guess that it's the same as like Link to the Past, kind of, in terms
very
of like,
similar vibes, yes.
So I feel like that some of these things that you're talking about, like, could you not say that those sort of game design elements happen in those games as well? Or does it feel different?
I would say it feels different. For one, your weapon attack in like Link to the Past and especially Link's Awakening is very fast. It's very spammable. So it makes it really easy to keep... It's really easy to just get like gap closed on and you have a bunch of enemies in your face. And with a lot of weapons, you don't always have a way of dealing with that. Because if you want to get out of that, like if you're like surrounded by a bunch of mobs, if you want to go invincible again, you got to jump and then go in the pit, right? And like Link's Awakening, you had a shield that you could use to push enemies back, or like ranged options. Like you don't have as much flexibility. You can't like pause the game and change your loadout, right? You got to go back to a checkpoint and maybe change what weapon you're using or what equipment you're using.
Oh,
right?
Interesting.
So you don't have this.
In Link to the Past, you can kind of pause the game and like switch between items, I guess.
Yeah. And then the damage output and the healing is also the really tricky thing. Falling into a pit takes out a giant chunk of your life bar, which is really fucking frustrating if like you found a secret area that's like a platforming challenge and you get like 2 or 3 shots at it in the early game before you just fucking die. And a lot of time your reward for doing these things is the bones. So if you try to do this and like you get some of them but not all the way and you fail it too many times and you die, those bones are fucking gone forever. Right?
Yeah.
Now you could grind enemies if you wanted to, but if you would rather, I think walking into oncoming traffic is probably a better use of your time at that point, right? Like, what are we doing? And the healing system is also the tricky thing, because for one of those Zelda, like those 2D Zelda games, like there can be a lot of damage sometimes on like, you know, very dangerous, like tough bosses, end game stuff, right? In this game, like you always take a shitload of damage, and it has like an Estus flask type of system, but worse. So in order to be able to heal, you need to deal damage to enemies, and then it fills up this like little yellow portion of your health bar. If you're at full HP, you can't even build up. If you're at full HP, you can't even build up the stuff that you would use to heal in the first place. Without an upgrade, like equipable thing that I think should just be in the game by fucking default. Do you see what I mean?
Okay,
like, there's just a bunch of these little things where it's like, there's a lot of awesome stuff here, But because it's Dark Souls, because we have to get every little thing that would actually make this sense or not miserable behind an item or a pickup, you got to go find the damn thing. So I have an equipable that lets me hold on to a bunch of that yellow health charge so that if I take a hit, I can immediately heal, right? But I had to find that shit. What if I wasn't so lucky, or I wasn't as good as exploring, or I'm just, little Joe, right? Little Jimmy
Little Joe,
trying to
run for the mud.
But what if I'm just little Jimmy, right, who doesn't find that particular upgrade or that thing, and this thing that makes playing the game just like infinitely better should just be quality of life? I just don't get to have access to that for most of my playthrough. And then you finally find it and you're like, wow, I wish I had this fucking thing. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been nearly as miserable getting up to this point, right?
It kind of... So now I want to... Unless somebody else has something to add, but I kind of have a question about, like, how do you go about... Or how do you think you should go about designing difficulty in games? Because I ran into this exact problem almost an entire year ago now when I made the Scooby Nuzlocke mod. Because when I was making it, I kept being like, oh man, I feel like this is too easy. I need to add something else to make it harder. And then when I started playing that, I was like, all right, I'll probably beat it in like 2 weeks. And then it took a month, a little more than a month. And then after that entire experience, I was like, wow, I really feel like I thought I could figure out how to kind of design difficulty for myself in a meaningful way. And granted, that challenge is meant to be unfair, but like, how would you, like, where do you draw the line as like something being punishable for the player? Like it's
punishing.
How punishing should something be
Before it becomes unfair?
Would it be right?
I think part of it depends on the experience you're signing up for. Like if you're signing up for a punishing game, you're going to get your ass beat. And that's like what you sign up for, right? But for the majority of cases where it isn't gray, I think it kind of depends. Now, one thing that Mina has that I think is really cool is like these accessibility options or an assist mode that allows you, if you wish, to like change the modifiers on things, maybe reduce incoming damage, or maybe you're just like, man, fuck this. I'm going to make myself invincible so I can just explore and have fun and like solve the puzzles and find the secrets, right? Mm-hmm. So you can tune it to your experience, right? But you're disabled from being able to get any achievements, like Steam achievements or otherwise, if you're using assist mode, which is just like, well, what's the, point of that, right? At that point, right? For a lot of people, well, it's like, well, if I can't use these and get achievements, then it's like, oh, it feels like I guess I'm cheating, or it's just like, oh, well, I want the achievements, so I'm not going to use the assist mode and make this easier for myself, right? Yeah. So, the other thing I'll say is like, it's an impossible fucking problem to solve because you can't design a game for everybody. You have to design a game for like a good chunk of people, and you're just going to have to accept that it's not going to work for everybody. Because like, I mean, that's how it is in life, right? You can't please everybody. You can't make everybody happy. So I don't want to like I want to be very careful and just like, let's not hold devs to an impossible standard of this must be perfectly difficult and balanced for every single type of player, right? That's just like, what? Like,
yeah.
Next you're going to tell me water is dry. Like, what are you doing here? Right? And honestly, I'm not sure. I don't know if either of y'all have any thoughts or ideas, but
yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's some games where, because Nestani was saying like anytime it feels unfair, but then how do you go about defining something like unfairness? Because I've never played the original Castlevania. Yeah, it is a gray line because it's like Castlevania. Somebody could play that and be like, damn, that shit is fucking unfair. Like, I'm talking about the first one specifically. Yeah. I've heard that one's like extremely hard. Or like Ninja Gaiden as well, like the original. But, but other people be like, oh, it's actually really great game design because that is sort of the game's intention, is that you have to be very specific with what exactly you do and how you move and when you use certain items or abilities and things like that.
Yeah.
So
I think it kind of like depends on like the genre, really, because I feel like I feel like this whole Souls-like genre is like the first, or maybe it's not the first, but like it's one of the most popular that has made like difficulty like kind of like the main thing. And I feel like it does it in a better way than most other games. Like most other games, it's just like you choose easy, medium, and hard, and all that equates to is more enemies and they do more damage. And it's like not very interesting versus like, hey, here's a boss, learn this attack pattern. Like there's some bullshit things, but like most of the time you can react to it and like adjust, right? And you can learn it. And you're going to die a couple times, but you're going to get through it. And then you're going to be like, yay, yippee, woohoo. But like I feel like most games just like enemy spam you or like just shit hits harder, which then it's like, is that a fun difficulty spike or is it just annoying? For me, I find it annoying. That's why I play every game on easy because I get no value out of just, oh, everything just does more damage to me and like whatever. Like it's just boring to me, right? And so I just don't bother with that. And that's kind of really all. Like I think that aspect, and I don't feel like there's much in between. You know, I feel like you either have this like baseless slider of just enemies, like do more enemies, more damage, and like Dark Soul pattern thing. And it's like, is that the only difficulty stuff we get to choose?
Exactly.
6, 7.
Well, and it's really interesting that you bring up Dark Souls as well, because Dark Souls is a game that notoriously has a lot of stuff that allows you to like cheat in the player's favor that people just refuse to fucking use. Like the summons, for example. Like there's a lot of instances where if you know what you're doing, first of all, you can summon a friend to come help you fight the boss. Or there's NPC summons that you can use. Or you can play a ranged build or a magic casting build, right? Most people who think, oh, it's Dark Souls, I gotta go with a sword and shield. You don't have to play that game. Like if you play that way, it might be harder for you than just hanging back and firing spells and using that spacing to give yourself more room to make mistakes, right? So some of it, like sometimes players will just put themselves into that kind of situation by their own maybe ignorance or just stubbornness. And I don't think you should try to like design around that because people are just going to be who they're going to be. I think you also, Nestani, brought up a greater point, and I'm going to phrase this as a question just for like a rhetorical question. Like what is a more interesting way, like if we're looking at just stats, what is more interesting as a difficulty choice? Making a boss deal 10% more damage or have them move 10% faster? I would say probably the speed buff is more interesting because it causes their mobility to become more of a problem and it forces your timings to be tighter, right? I think in terms of difficulty, one of the biggest keys is have the difficulty come from the idea of like, oh, I died because it was my fault, because I made a mistake, right? And in some ways you could argue that's like a communicating to the player, like what happened or what they did wrong, right? So if things are not clear as to, I think hitboxes are a great example. There's some legendarily bad hitboxes in some of the Souls games over the years where it's like, that should not have fucking hit me. That feels unfair. Like that's a big thing in any fighting game, right? Where it's like, there's like, you know, Jigglypuff back air. That move does not feel fucking fair.
Marth grab.
Because Marth grab, right? You know? So part of even, it's not even just the difficulty, it's the communication of the difficulty and the ability to parse the mistakes that led to a death or that led to a mistake, right?
Yeah, I think a good way to answer, like, for that question that you raised, the rhetorical one, it always seems like the more enjoyable difficulty is one where it challenges your adaptability rather than your consistency. Because if you're just upping the health bar, that doesn't really change how you beat or handle the boss fight. You just have to make sure that you do the same thing over and over again more. But, you know, switching up the speed or something else, it changes the entire thing completely. I think that's also why, like, I guess going back to the one game design experience I ever have, which is that Scooby mod, that's probably why I like the like the final boss in that mod was so crazy because it completely changed how you do the boss fight, where the floors became electrified and you had to think about your environment more than just the enemies around you that you had to defeat.
Exactly.
So,
well, in a similar note, I think this is going to sound weird, but World of Warcraft actually does this pretty well with its big raid bosses, where on higher difficulties, obviously, you know, the damage and like taken and received will, you know, obviously that'll scale, right? It's a harder boss. But generally on the higher difficulties, these bosses will have new moves that they get, or new behaviors or new mechanics that you have to deal with. Like you were saying with the Mastermind fight, where it's like on an easier difficulty, these things are removed so that the person engaging with that lower level of difficulty engages with the fundamentals, or like isn't as overwhelmed, right? Because I think a lot of times too, like some difficulty can come from the fact that there's just a lot of fucking things happening and it gets overwhelming.
yeah. Yep.
Right? So like in Mina, for example, like if there's a shitload of enemies on the screen, there's one boss actually that I just finally got the kill on because I came back with better gear and better stats, because this thing was a fucking nightmare to deal with, where it was this like giant hulking skeleton boss that would like charge around the arena, but it also like throw out and summon these skeletons that would chase after you and actually do a pretty significant amount of damage. So just because there was so much chaos on screen and I had to manage their positions as well as, oh, what attack is the boss doing? It was sensory overload. And I just kept dying and dying over and over to it because I was getting blindsided by something that I didn't see coming on the screen.
Yeah.
And so the way I actually ended up beating that boss and making it easier for myself was changing my own, like leveraging the mechanics better and getting better at it. There's a equipable that you can use so that whenever you burrow down in the ground for invincibility, it leaves behind this acid trail, basically where under the tile that you burrowed under. So it was essentially doing chip damage to the boss and to all of these like skeleton ants that would get summoned. Sometimes it would kill them, but more importantly, it would also build up chip damage that would allow me to potentially heal, right? Because your healing is tied to damage dealt to enemies. And so if I keep getting overwhelmed and not hitting anything, then I can't build up any charge to actually use a heal, right?
Is this game like open world or is it Metroidvania-esque?
It is much more open world. It's not really like a typical,
Okay.
It doesn't have the Zelda formula of you go to a dungeon, you get the dungeon item, it lets you go to new areas. There's a little bit of things like that where it's like you need certain side weapons or equipables to access certain areas. But that is more of a puzzle that you have to figure out and is usually for optional stuff. Rather than for... There's certain things that are gated behind progression. There's one boss section that I haven't gotten to yet where you have to basically find these mirrors and walk into the mirror in enough of the locations near a lot of the bosses. And once you've triggered enough of them, you can go access this area. That boss I was just talking about, you actually need... there's like this giant gap that you have to figure out how to cross. And the way to cross it is with this thing that lets you burrow into walls and not just the floor. So there's little things like that. But it's not the same thing as, oh, I go into the first dungeon, I get the power bracelet, which means I can pick up this rock, which blocked off this whole other part of the map. It's not like that.
Okay.
In theory, you could go to like, I want to say there's like six major, like, I almost did 6 or 7. But there's like, I would say at the start, there's like foreseeably like 4 or 5 different places you could go to right from the start once you get through the intro.
Okay.
So it very much in the same way Dark Souls is, where it's like, oh, if you're getting walled, go somewhere else and try something else. Maybe something that you find difficult here is something, you know, or it's like, oh, I'll find this other part easier. Where another person with a different play style or maybe a different weapon, right, will have an easier time in this spot as their first area, and then come back to that other thing later. So... if it were designed exactly like the Zelda dungeon format, where you go to the first dungeon, I think that would be a really poor design choice, right? Because if you get stuck, you're stuck there, and you gotta fucking bash your head against the wall.
You know, I don't know why. I think it was you talking about like just difficulty and different like tiers and stuff. So then like people who aren't at the skill set. I haven't thought about this in years, but when I was younger, you know those levels in Smash Bros where they would like anytime the background moved around, I couldn't do it. I would lose my character.
Like the scrolling backgrounds?
Yeah, I remember when I would play that with like friends or my brother, I'd be like, "No. I'm blacklisting these levels. We're not playing them. I get lost and I die."
Final Destination in Melee is actually a classic example. On a lot of the tournament setups, they actually have like a shadow patch in there that's not easy to determine, where it like there's like certain parts where it goes into like a skyscape clouds section. So it goes from like a really dark background to a really bright background pretty quickly. And some characters it's hard to see them against that, or the change is like really distracting, right? So they actually have that disabled, so it's actually easier to pay attention to what's going on.
That's crazy.
No, I completely agree.
I have never recognized that ever.
Yeah.
But like now that you mention it, I'm like, oh yeah, that is what Final Destination does. And now I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen that in tournament. That is.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, dude, I didn't even notice.
Well, you know
that
makes younger me feel a little more validated, because if the pro players even hate that, you know.
No, for sure. It's almost an accessibility thing, right? Where it's like, where is the line between a thing being a challenge to overcome versus I don't want to say language barrier, but like an obstacle versus a wall. Right, where it's like a
Pink
wall
Floyd.
where it's just like I cannot, like Pink Floyd, where it's just like I can't get into this shit. Period.
Hey,
right?
That was a banger. That one was good. That one was good.
Gotta give it to him.
Goddamn. Unfortunately, you do have to give it to me.
wow.
Pause.
We're giving it to Jaxler in Pride Month. Let's go.
That's crazy. This feels like some flavor of phobia that we'll have to unpack in therapy later.
Y'all got couples therapy? Happy Pride Month, everybody.
This fucking guy.
Yeah, only Jaxler shows up to it.
Yeah, that would track. Although, like, I don't know.
So
Like,
Jaxler, where's Nestani today? He's triple jumping in Cybertron again.
He's doing ILs at the very beginning of the game. He always does ILs.
I haven't
at the very
seen him in months. He won't even hop in VC, man. Oh my god. That is funny though, because it's like, yeah, I probably would show up, but also like, I have a history of not doing great into the therapy matchup. So honestly, it just might be a fucking like DNP, like no show type situation on both ends. So like, yeah, we'll see. I don't need to go into that rant. That might be a bit off topic, but yeah, I don't know. It's like it's hard to like talk about this, and I don't know. Part of me is just, this is me being a hater again, where it's just like people are trying to do the popular thing in terms of game design trends with this like Dark Souls-ification of games, and I just want to see new shit or weirder or more interesting types of things. And it's hard for me to like say that and also not recognize that, like, of all the games to do it, this game with the mouse, this Mina game, does it like infinitely better than the rest. Which, you know, goes to show that if you take long enough making a game and you actually spend the time to design it, turns out that you can make some pretty good fucking shit. Looking at you, AAA game dev industry. Wow,
you got was tough.
Dude, I was in the fucking flow state, and then
you want to run that back? Here, let's rewind the tape. Okay, go ahead. You got
it. Yeah.
Try again.
Hey you, John, AAA industry. Suck my fucking dick.
I feel like we fumbled that hard.
I feel like the first one was even
harder,
better.
man.
You know, Jax, why don't you just be the change that you want to see? Just make video games.
Yeah,
that's like
dude,
what you do.
I'm gonna
right?
be so real, man. It like playing this game, and like sometimes even playing like other games, I'm just like, I could make this, or I can maybe not make it like that. Like, you know, obviously I'm not fucking. I don't remember the name of this dude. I'm not Yacht Club Games, right? Like I'm one person, and I can't draw for shit, right? But like, if I'm getting this passionate about it, it's like, damn, maybe I need to get back in the fucking ring and like make shit, right?
Do you feel like you could do like? Do you ever get the thought of like, man, like when you're playing a game, like, man, I could do this better than these guys did. Like, I could see. Yeah, I mean, that's.
What did I play through recently that made me think?
I feel like that's a good thought to have though, because I mean, that means, I don't know. I always feel like that a lot of creative people kind of have that mentality.
Yeah.
And usually what's preventing them is just like a bunch of other distractions. Or
well,
things
I would just say what's preventing them is them being pussies. Me personally.
Pussy. Yeah.
But yeah, no,
I do that with
I get
YouTube
that
videos.
Yeah, and I do that a lot with like metal music and like metal vocals and stuff. I'm just like, what if you did it like this or whatever? Blah, blah, blah,
yeah, know? But yeah, no, I literally that like kind of like thought where I was just like, I could make something. Right, because like obviously I have 2 college degrees in that room over there that are just fucking collecting dust, right? So it's like I should probably use that at some point, right? But the thing I most recently used it for was this. This is not publicly available. I can show you all later off the record if y'all are interested. But it's evil. It's called Plinkotris. It's just this little fucking proof of concept thing I made where it's Tetris, but all of the
Plinko?
Yes. So all of the fucking pieces are like fall like they would if they were under the effects of real gravity. And there's a Plinko board on the way down to the well.
Gambling
so they'll bounce.
Tetris.
Yeah, so they'll bounce off the fucking Plinko pieces and then land at the bottom.
That sounds.
Now you can rotate. Yeah, now you can rotate your piece before you launch it. But so.
Huh. Dude.
But I just had this thought in my head where I was just like, I spent like 6 fucking years of post-secondary education being miserable and making what other people wanted to. What if I just spent my time making crimes against game design? Right? Like, should Tetris Plinko exist? Absolutely the fuck not. But I'm gonna make it anyway because it's gonna piss somebody off. And if I piss one person off, that means I changed one person. Right?
I could just see a guy playing that game with a white glove and he's doing the fucking thing. And he's like, fuck!
Well, there's not even a need to, because you just click the drop button and you just watch as it goes and does.
That's true. I mean, yeah, I guess so.
It's
so
just
if Simply should stream that, so then all the stream is TTS. He just sits there and just waits.
Well, and I'm sure like other like professions have a similar thing. Like I feel like editors have a similar thing, or like artists have a similar thing, where it's like because they're really good at this like skill or thing, they're just like, wait a minute, I could use this to bring to life something really fucking cursed or evil. Like, one that always comes to mind is, this was like a GDQ meme where someone like donated that their favorite Pokemon was Caternies. So like Caterpie, but with knees. And then so people on the internet started drawing Caterpie with knees. Right? So it's just like this idea of like, yeah, because why wouldn't you?
All right, I'll look it up.
Yeah.
I'm not. I think I'm good.
Alexa, Google Caternies Rule 34.
Oh, this one has fishnets on it, actually. Why is it showing a picture, though, of SpongeBob with, like, grills and a diamond chain? That's not Caterpie. Anyway.
That's fire, man. I don't know.
Wait, this is a Twitch account.
What the fuck is happening to you right now?
Anyway, sorry.
The plot thickens.
I got distracted.
This happened.
Anyway, Caternies.
Caternies.
I understand now.
I would do that hand motion. I would do that hand motion, but you'll know what happens if I do the hand motion. Unfortunately, but
I messed up.
I don't know, man. Get back to where we were. I'm sick of Dark Souls. I'm sick of it. Fuck Elden Ring.
Yeah,
I never played Elden Ring.
Wait, stupid. Yeah.
I had quick question. Just because you were talking about like, oh man, I can't draw and stuff like that. I'm probably totally wrong, but how many people made Undertale? Because I know like Toby Fox did like a big amount of the work, but I know that Temi
did the art.
Yeah,
she did the
art.
But
like, I don't know how many other people were involved with that. Like, I don't know.
How does art even work in game design? Like, how do you like
That
draw
is-
something and then like put it like? Because I'm assuming you're just like drawing in like a 2D space. How do you like? You know what I mean? Like, how do you convert that? How do you convert that PNG to
I would
game?
say, well,
That's
at least with,
that is a great. No, you can go ahead. And then I'll answer the
wait, can
question
I
correctly.
guess? Because you
Go
probably know
ahead.
the answer.
This
Can
will
I
be.
guess?
Oh, I absolutely know the answer.
Okay,
go ahead.
At least, so with sprites, I would imagine that they could probably just draw the sprites because that's 2D already. But for 3D, I'm gonna guess that they draw like a T pose and they do like front, back, top, bottom, sides, and then you just use that as a reference when either you or somebody else models it in like something like Blender.
That's not
That's
a
my
bad
guess.
guess. That's not a bad guess.
All right, well now that makes me feel like I'm wrong.
No, you're. I want to say you're like 70% of the way there.
Okay,
so
all right. I've
that's
gotta
not bad.
see. All right.
So I'll start with Nestani's like kind of the way he phrased it, because 2D versus 3D is like two entirely separate like kinds of things, right? So for how do I get the PNG into the game onto the screen? If you're using like a commercial game engine, like a Unity or Unreal or Godot, something like that, it'll a lot of times just let you drag that like file into the project and then like have a really quick and easy way of putting that image, like a sprite, for example, like just kind of into a scene or onto a game character or something, right? Like that, right? And let's say that's for like static, like just like a static image, like just like a tile of grass or dirt on the ground, right? When it comes to the like bulk stuff, right? So let's say like an animated character, or like you want to have all different types of like walls or grounds or something like that. You'll have something called a sprite sheet, which is essentially you take one like big PNG file. So like let's take something like Mina the Hollower, right? Which is like a tile-based game. So like every like square that you can stand on is one tile and like one sprite or PNG. Instead, what you end up doing is like all of the, let's say everything that is like a standable surface, or like all of like the standard like walls and floors and shit, right? All go in one PNG file in what's called a sprite sheet, which is essentially like all of them, like all of these squares like right next to each other, one of each. And then the game engine software will slice it, basically go grid by grid, and use that to create these like sub images that you can then load into the game like that. So instead of needing like 30 billion PNGs for every single tile and it getting really confusing, you just have one kind of master image. And so then if you're in the process of developing the game, right, and you want to make a change to one of these sprites, instead of having to go and dig through and find whichever tile you want to do, or maybe you want to do multiple at the same time, like maybe you're changing the color palette, you just make the edits to one file and it'll keep everything else unchanged, and it'll still kind of slice and make everything good to go anyway. Animated characters will actually use the same thing, right? So let's say you have like a 2D character that does like a sword swing animation, right? Like each one of those frames of the animation is a separate little PNG that gets put together in a sprite sheet and then subdivided. So then from there, when you want to like swing the sword, you just call the line of code, and then you usually have some sort of logic that causes basically the character that you have change its sprite and what it looks like for the duration of that swing. So let's say a sword swing takes 4 frames, right? From start to finish before it goes back to like the neutral. You have 4 different images that all get kind of linked up together and play in sequence frame by frame. And like Unity has its like own system for doing this. It almost kind of looks like an editing timeline in like a video editing software, specifically for like what Unity has for its 2D stuff. You could also do it the manual way, where it's just like, while this game character is like in an attack state, like every frame swap to the next picture in this like list of pictures I have stored in code. You could do it the hard, like manually like that. There's a bunch of ways to do it. And that's just for the 2D stuff, right? So there's kind of 2 components to it. There's somebody has to draw the thing, and then there is somebody has to get it rigged up and ready to roll and make it work, if that makes sense. So that's specifically for like the 2D stuff, right? For something like Mina the Hollower we were talking about. Any questions before I go into 3D?
I've unintentionally. I guess I technically knew the 2D thing, but I just didn't realize it. Because I use, I've used sprites and that kind of stuff before, and like making videos and things like that.
Yeah.
Because it's basically just like, hey, here's a bunch of assets from this game I can use, and then I can just cut out whichever specific image that I want and then put it in there or whatever.
Well, and it's also the same thing with any kind of video, because like a video isn't like a continuous stream of visual data. If we're talking like let's say like 1 second of like 60 FPS video, that is 60 images back to back played at a frame rate that tricks the brain into thinking it's a continuous thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same way. Now 3D, that's a whole nother fucking beast, right?
So what is that process?
So generally it starts with 3D modeling. So you mentioned Blender. That's like the most common thing people use. There's another one called Maya where you're making 3D models, right? I wish. But anyway, Alveus mentioned. Basically 3D models for characters versus like just the world are kind of two separate things. I'll start with the easier one, which is those. They're made up of what are called tris or triangles. Every 3D model is basically a collection of XYZ coordinates in space, and then a bunch of data about how all of those points relate to each other. So let's say you have a point at 0, 0, and another at 2, 2, 2. They might have what's called an edge between them. So if there's an edge between however many points, that creates a triangle. Once you have enough triangles, and they have a facing direction as well because of fucking course. So like the points all face a direction too, which is, I know sounds insane, but they kind of have a facing direction, right? Because if you've ever looked inside of a 3D model from the inside, it'll usually look blank, right? The reason for that is because it doesn't, like most like 3D graphics software doesn't render or show you any, like it only shows you like one side, not both, right? So you have to like make sure that like everything is like set to the proper fucking direction. Otherwise your thing will look invisible.
I've had problems with that with Scooby modding. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So you've got this like 3D model, right? And the model is just like the skeleton, or the shape. Then you got to put some like colors on top of that. So texturing for 3D objects, it's kind of just like a PNG type of thing, similar to what we were talking about with 2D, where it's just like, oh, you have a picture and you slap it on top of this 3D model, right? However, there's another step that you have to do, and it's called UVs. A UV is basically this, and I know you've heard of these things.
UV mapping.
And they probably give you fucking nightmares.
Yeah.
So basically what a UV, it's a map, essentially. And what it does is it tells the computer, okay, here's your image of like the paint that's supposed to go on. Here's how this image is supposed to stretch and contort to look right on all these different triangles. And so a lot of times nowadays, Blender will just kind of do that for you, or you can like edit things and adjust things to make it look one way or the other. I am completely losing Nestani, but I don't really give a fuck because I'm passionate about this shit. So there you have it, right? You build the skeleton, you build the shape, you build the clay pot. Then you tell the thing, here's how any paint will stretch onto it, and then you actually have to draw the paint. So in like a AAA setting, like big game dev studios, you can have people who their entire job is just to do specific things in this process. Like they might just be a texture artist where they just draw the paint that is to go on the 3D character model. There are people who do the entire thing as well, depending on the company, right? But that's for something like just the static stuff. What you're talking about with 3D characters is actually pretty close. So a lot of times you're right, they'll put them in a T-pose, right? And so the purpose of that T-pose is to for one, like make it easier to get at like things like the armpits or like anything where it's like if you have your arms at your side, it's really hard to like paint what's supposed to be in here, right?
Yeah.
And then once you have that 3D character, there like rigging is something you mentioned earlier. So what rigging is like you basically tell this 3D model where its bones are. So you determine like, oh, I tore out my headphones. Sorry. So you're like, okay, these are where the hips are, and this is how you can rotate about the hips. This is where the elbow is, and the elbow is going to rotate differently, right? Your elbow only goes up and down. So you put these basically joints at different parts of your 3D character model. And again, that's part of the reason why they like having it at the T-pose, is so that it's a lot easier to test. So if I put one at my shoulder, it's in a perfect spot to where I can test the limits of where it can go to, right? And so rigging is essentially determining those points, determining how they can rotate, and making sure they're positioned properly. And then you also have to do, this is even something I'm not as familiar with just because I didn't, like, this was not my specialty in school. There weren't a lot of people very good at it, like the rigging stuff, but there's also a process called skinning, which sounds really scary, but it's basically like telling the computer like, oh, how does like the textures on the model deform and change when this thing moves?
Oh,
so if I bend
like
my
weight.
elbow, it's like weighting. Weighting is part of skinning. And then so once you have that all set up, then you can animate the thing. Once you've determined like, oh, this is how it can rotate, right? And you can kind of create animations manually in the same way that you would, like I was talking about with the 2D stuff, where you can go frame by frame, almost like claymation, and be like, okay, we're gonna, on this frame, we'll do the sword swing again. On this frame, I'm right here. On this frame, I'll move the shoulder a little bit. On this frame, I'll move the elbow a little bit, right? And you do it manually like that.
Yeah. At least in Blender, it's basically keyframing.
Yes.
When you're like video
keyframing.
editing. Like,
exactly.
But imagine doing that for every part of the body. So like, oh, this foot, you get to keyframe it and do the entire animation, and then you do the other foot and what that's doing. But you can like simplify the process a little bit with how you structure the bones.
Yeah, exactly.
We could get into details about that all day.
Yeah, and like I'm making it sound like a lot more manual and excruciating than it actually is, like you said with the keyframing, where it's like instead of actually like keyframing every single little movement, I can just say, okay, we start here and we end here. And then the game engine will interpolate, meaning it will go from point A to point B over a set amount of time that you give it, like a keyframe, right? So you can use kind of stuff like that to make it, but there's like other stuff too. There's like these like dynamic animation. There's a specific name for it that I can't remember, where it's like you can use like there's like code driven stuff to determine how characters move. Like if a character is going to take a walk forward, and it would put their right foot on like the first step of a stair, it will leave their foot on that step while keeping their back foot on the lower step. There's ways of doing that, for example.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
There's a name for it. I can't remember it. It's going to haunt me for a little bit.
Man, game design's so crazy. That's like...
It is maybe the most interdisciplinary profession out there.
Yeah.
Because it's math, it's code, it's art and animation, it's design. There's, there can be music, there can be writing and storyboard. Like it can literally be everything. Or it can be as little as you make it. That's what's crazy about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the more that I just create stuff, whether it be like videos, game mods, things like that, the more I'm just fascinated by like how everything in general is done. Like the Marcus Brownlee video, or the like MKBHD video about basketball, like how they film like the playoffs and stuff like that. It's like, Jesus Christ, man. Like it's so crazy how we kind of take it for granted a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't even like, I think at the end of that video in particular, he was like, it's so great that you don't even realize that it's there. And it's like, that's so true. That's so true for a lot of like creative things. It's pretty amazing.
Well, and it's also crazy how many people there are that are just like, my entire job is just to do this one specific thing I'm really good at. Like you'll have sound designers for video games whose job it is to use audio middleware. I think the most common one is called Fmod. So if you've ever booted up a game and saw this like Fmod logo, that's basically audio middleware, where it's like they take, like some sound designers are the ones who just like, oh, I'm going to be a Foley artist and just, you know, make a stepping through leaf sound effect by crinkling a bag of Fritos or something like that. But then it's also usually someone else's job, maybe that designer, maybe someone else, to integrate that into the game and have those things trigger depending on where you are. There's actually this class I took on game audio where we had to learn how to use it so that it like you could dynamically change elements of like background audio or music via code. So like if I walk into a different area, I could like change the ambiance of the music that was playing. So there are people whose in some of these bigger operations whose entire job is doing stuff like that, just for the purposes of like atmosphere. Like it truly is a crazy fucking art form.
Wow.
You know, and that's, you know, it's one of those medium is the message type of things, which,
dude,
maybe
I'm
another
fucking
day
stupid as fuck, bro. It's like,
well, here's the fucking thing, dude, is like, there are a lot of people who go to the same kind of curriculum and program that I do that only focus in on specific things. I have the knowledge that I do because I specifically chose to be kind of a Swiss Army knife jack of all trades, because I thought it was important to be able to talk to everyone and understand what their needs were. Because like to me, it was just like I like kind of helping planning and like making sure people they have what they need. You know, not like fully producer mode, but just like how do I talk to people and make sure that their needs are met, or being a leader, right? Because that's what a lot of my grad school was. It's just like, how do you team build? How do you talk to people? How do you find people that can like do the things that you can't, right? Because I have a lot of limitations. Like, you know, programming is like maybe my best specific skill, but I can't do engine programming. I can't do graphics programming. Have you ever seen fucking graphics programming before? Have you seen shader files? Good. Keep it that way, man. It's bad.
I haven't seen shit, bro. I don't know what you talking about half the time.
These guys literally write code that talks directly to the fucking graphics card in your fucking computer. I tried to learn that shit. It didn't go very well. like that's the thing. Like, you know, it's just like, I'm also like part of me bringing this all up is it's just like, I don't think, you know, like you said, I don't think a lot of people realize just like the kind of work that goes into that. And that's always why I'm really careful when I'm talking about games or critiquing them, where it's just like, there are so many moving parts that go into making a game. It's sometimes hard to be like critical to that degree because of the goals of the project, right? Sometimes it's like, sometimes a design decision in a game is like a spur of the moment thing, or it's just like, yeah, we wish we could have done that, but we don't have the team or the know-how to do that, or the time. Or the time. That's the biggest one. That's the biggest one.
Yeah.
Welcome to production.
Yeah.
I'm sure you ran into that with making the album, right? Where it was just like, yeah, we would love to do things like this, but it's like, we don't have time. Or,
I mean, yeah.
Or we don't, you know.
Yeah, because we give ourselves essentially a month to record everything, at least, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, I mean, we kind of went back and did some, like, extra stuff. But overall, yeah, it was mostly a time thing. It's also a skill thing. Like, I just wasn't very good. Like, that was my first time, like, derusting, like, the audio, like, side of like, what I do. Because I've been grinding video for 4 years now. So, like, and I hadn't really touched audio at all. But yeah, I think like a lot of that is just like it's time and skill, because like it's also a thing, like if you're just like one dev or two devs, then it's just like, what if one of you just isn't very good at art? You know what I mean? What if like one of you isn't very good at like doing the bone shit or like whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's just like, okay, well, we have the music, but how do we get that into the game to like dynamically react to bullshit? You know, what if they don't know that part of it, but they got the music commissioned, but you know what I mean? And then it's just like,
it's I don't know. I'm getting like giddy thinking about it, and now I'm just like,
you
I want to go make
game,
shit.
Jaxler.
Dude, I should make. Well, that's the thing, right? Is I've made lots of games. Most of them are shit, but like that's the thing. I think Cole, you were talking about it back when you were talking about like, you know, the stuff you're doing with drawing and trying to get better at that. Where it's just like, you just have to make a ton of shit, and it's gonna be really bad. Like we were talking about Infant Hunting League fucking last week, which shout outs to Ex Cognitor, by the way, who was like, yeah, I mean, if you're down, I'll bring it back. It's so fucking funny. We should not bring that back. And I'm sure he would say the same thing, where it's like you just gotta make a ton of fucking shit.
Yeah,
which kind of sucks, but it's just like,
I mean, you learn a lot about doing something. Yeah, you learn a lot about something by doing it a lot. I mean, like I was able to like, when just you talking about game design, like a lot of that's not a lot of that stuff, because I mean some of that stuff I don't know, like I don't know how to put bones on a model, but like I understood like, oh man, yeah, like UV mapping, and like I can see how sprites and stuff worked out, and that's just because I had jumped right in and started doing it.
Yeah. And the other thing is, it's a discovery thing where it's like you might do it and you're like, oh, I've put in the reps, but it's just not clicking for me, or more commonly, I fucking hate this shit. Like UVs are a great fucking example. Like most people who like do the UV shit and are fucking brilliant at it, they don't like that shit. You think they'd fucking like that shit? No, that shit's fucking annoying, tedious, and a lot of tedious, a lot to wrestle with. But maybe for some people, it's just like, oh, I just understand this like the back of my fucking hand. Like for me in college, it was physics, like gameplay physics, right? Where it was just like like there were some people in my cohort who was like, please God, just do this fucking for me. I don't want to do this. And I'm like, yeah, I got this, man. Where it's like, but you have to explore, right? You have to like do reps of trying the thing. Like you can't just like try it once and be like, oh, I can't do this shit, right? Because trust me, for
you
as
have
much
to like learn and like, you know, do things over a period of time to like learn, grow, and get better. That's kind of weird.
I do think, I mean, the hardest part is starting, but like starting in the right way, because if something is too easy, you get bored, and if something is too difficult, you lose interest. Like, I feel like in some cases...
Yes and no, because sometimes...
It depends on the thing.
Because sometimes if it's really easy and then you make something cool, that's a big fucking dopamine hit, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, if you're... Like, a game dev is a great example where it's like, oh, I'm, you know, made this little platformer demo thing and it works. And that wasn't too bad. And look at this cool thing I made. It also helps to show the things that you're doing too. I actually started learning game dev in high school because I had a teacher in my high school who was teaching an elective class of like, oh, here's how you use Unity. Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
And I didn't even think to want to take that class until I took an intro to programming class where I was like, oh, cool. I made this cool little program that just automated a bunch of little shit for me. And that was really easy. And it was this really cool little thing. And in high school, I literally made, like, I didn't even draw any of it. I just pulled free assets from opengameart.net. It was like this fucking karate cat that had like this Hadouken animation and like a Shoryu all on the sprite sheet. And I was just like, I'm going to make a little side scroller with this guy, make a couple enemies. And my dad still talks about that fucking Karate Cat game I made in my fucking junior year of high school, man. Where it's just like, and that's why I think it's really, my point is I think it's really important to share the shit you're working on, even though it's vulnerable and embarrassing, because if you get positive feedback, that could be the thing that, like, that feedback that I got, low-key is a big part of the, like, and that class and that experience is, that's basically why I went to the school I did. That's why I did the college stuff that I did, which led to me meeting all the Spearman's Rochester people and basically fundamentally altered my life.
Wow.
And that's why I like talking about it in a game dev context, because it's like there's so many different things you could possibly do if you want to work on games. Now, should you? Probably not, because it's tough as a career prospect. They were like Yacht Club Games. The people who made this Mina the Hollower game were like, we need this game. They were pretty public. Like, hey, we need this game to fucking sell. Otherwise, we're probably going to go under. Now, thankfully, the game is really fucking good, despite my Dark Souls rank.
Yeah.
But it's just like,
I fucking hate this and this and this, but it's good.
Classic.
That's how you know you do like something, though, is that you complain about it.
the most damning thing about any game I could possibly critique is to have nothing to say, right? Because it didn't leave an impression on me.
That's true. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's going to be the end of the podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Dude, I got a cramp in my side. I talked so fucking much.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck, though. Sorry.
Bro's never talked in his life, apparently. He does podcasts for a living and he gets cramps while talking. That's crazy. You should have enough reps at this, man.
No, usually it's not to that degree, but when I get really excited and I start projecting my voice, I also worked out today. I almost
flexing.
fucking PR'd on. I almost PR'd on bench today. It was
Damn.
It was
Hey,
great,
there you go.
but yeah, I'm fucking tired. But thank you for letting me info dump, y'all. Anyway, I guess that is kind of what the podcast is about. But
I mean, we talk about shit. Anyone have anything to
I do actually.
Thank you all for 2 years, by the way, because this is
Yes.
now like
Oh, damn.
To the week.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, damn.
Technically, last episode was like
So-
the 2 years in terms of weeks, but like
technically
this is like the
2
day
years
or
in terms
whatever
of
the
weeks,
fuck.
but yeah, this is the date.
Yeah,
In
because we
terms of
had
dates,
like
this is
we
2
had like
years.
didn't we have like a lost episode as our first episode, and then we had to fucking re-record it.
Yeah,
Or
but
am I
that was the
misremembering?
very first one. Like we didn't publish it.
That was the very first one.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I forgot.
Don't even matter.
My bad.
I'm just going by the first upload date.
Yeah,
on
we
the
have not
website.
missed an
So,
episode though. So
Which is fucking insane, by the way. I don't know.
Yep.
I am grateful just because you know me, I'm not great at keeping consistent with things. Nestani gives me shit for dropping speed games after I get them in the GDQ. So
Frog
Hell
Monster
yeah.
Acceptance, AGDQ 2027. Let's go.
dude is hate watching me like people hate watch the OKC
I'm actually
Thunder.
not hate watching you because I don't watch you play that game.
Damn. Jesus.
It's actually the opposite. I'm not in the stream.
Well, if you wanna watch a game that I know you're excited about,
Yeah, when are you gonna play
on
that new
Monday,
fucking shit? Monday?
the new different thing on Monday actually. So on Monday I will be on GDQ Hotfix
Okay.
playing Vex Troll Tag.
Okay.
We're breaking the Vex out of the vault, and I will get you that time real quick. It is scheduled for Monday, June 8th at 9 p.m. Eastern time, approximately. You will see me talk about it on Blue
William
Sky.
Shatner.
Holy shit. When are you gonna play the new game that you've been working on?
I had to take a little bit of break from where I've been practicing the same missions, but this past weekend I went to go visit my granddad for his 98th fucking birthday.
Damn.
So that took a bit more priority over continuing to work on my
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it should, honestly. I think
Dude, I don't know, man. He might not get
already
another
lived
birthday.
98
Like, I'm not
years.
trying to play that fucking game.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this fucking guy. Anyway, goodbye. Or no, go ahead.
On Saturday, so
Tomorrow.
the day after this comes out, at 9 a.m. Eastern, I will be doing commentary for Dangerous's run of Bears in Space for Power Up with Pride. And then at 1 p.m. that same day, I will be doing commentary for a race of all collectibles in Devil May Cry 1.
damn, you're getting
on
tricked
the
out.
DMC Speedruns Twitch channel. Yep. And it's on the hardest difficulty in the game. So it's going to be Dante Must Die, all collectibles. And it's at least like a 3-way race, 3 or 4-way race.
Fucking Christ.
Damn.
Yeah. It's got
That should
like
be fun.
it's going to have a lot of really good DMC runners, DMC1 runners. So it'd be good.
That's exciting.
For those that don't know, all collectibles is
All the
essentially you're
collectibles in the
getting
game.
all of the blue orbs. You're getting all the blue orbs and all the weapons, which entails getting all of the secret missions completed as well. So you're going to see a lot more of the game than you usually do in an any percent run. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. And also, I'm just playing more DMC5. I got record back last weekend.
Let's
so
fucking go.
That's my goat. That's why he's the goat.
pretty cool.
I fucking, I love that clip.
I did. I got it back in human, which is the category that I'm running for SGDQ, and I was like, no, I gotta go and get it back in Devil Hunter. This sucks, man. Like,
You just have to, no one makes the rules.
You're
now I just
legally
have to,
required
because
to.
like, yeah, basically. But I gotta get a 103 in human first, break another minute barrier,
Another one.
and then I'll be within
Another one.
Well, I'll be within like a minute and a half probably at that point of Sum of Best, which would be kind of crazy for that game. So yeah, I can't leave like 2.5 minutes on the table. That's just not what I feel like doing. So yeah,
Fair enough.
Cole, you got anything?
Yeah.
Actually, it's the opposite. I'm going to be streaming less because I'm going to be doing some stuff to prepare for like GDQ and things like that. So I'm not going to stream as much. But hopefully, maybe, as of recording this, I got a 1 second PB in Scooby any percent today. But I'm hoping that tomorrow I'll get at least a 4 second. 4 second.
Like a 6 or 7
PB.
second PB.
6 or 7 sec. I'd be fine with that. No, I'm not gonna do that shit. But yeah, that's all. Let's end this shit.
Goodbye forever.
Goodbye forever.
Bye.
Okay, bye.